In a world of 350 billion movie podcasts, two chumps have decided that now is the time for cult movies to engage in combat. Disagreements will be had, blood may be spilled, and voiceover artists most definitely will not be paid. This is Cult Film Face-Off.
Hello and welcome to episode 64 of Cult Film Face Off. My name is Chuck Walgis. With me as usual is Nick Leonard.
Merry Christmas!
This is our third annual Christmas episode. So this episode we're going to be looking at two Christmas movies. I would like to name check the person who suggested the two films for this episode, but they've deleted their Twitter account. So I don't know who you are.
Scared, huh? Frightened, eh?
I hope you're going to enjoy this. I have had to pay £10 or just over to get the first film brought over from Canada. The cover looks like it was designed in Mario Paint. I haven't mentioned this, but I did briefly look at the quality of the film just to see, and I'll be honest, I'll be surprised if we actually get through this.
Alarm bells are ringing.
Yeah, I mean, and then some. So we're going to. I should point out. Normally, every time we record, we talk about films that we've recently watched. We have not seen either of these films. We are sat here in Christmas jumpers in front of a Christmas tree, going to watch them one after the other. So we'll chime in after the first one if we can make it to the end, which I seriously doubt, and then we'll chime in at the end of the second one. But yeah. First up is Santa Claus. Santa Claus, okay. 1996, Santa Claus. A film that's incredibly hard to get hold of. We'll find out if that's for any good reason after we've seen it. But yeah, Santa Claus from 1996. A woman's marriage is falling apart and her next-door neighbour is not the guy he appears to be. He is obsessed with her and will do anything to make her happy. He starts going crazy and eventually begins dressing up like Santa Claus and killing people with a claw. That's what Google just told me about this.
A claw?
Yeah. Yeah.
A claw hammer? Just a claw?
Just a claw. Well, we're about to find out. Okay, we also... I should point this out.
Clawsome.
I believe that this film is out of copyright. I believe it is. If I'm wrong, someone can tell me. But I'm going to put this film onto our YouTube channel. So if you
let's be bolshy. Serious.
Yeah, come and get us. We're going to do. If you want to watch this film, I have an inkling that you won't want to, but if you do, it's on our YouTube channel. So hopefully we're not breaking any rules, but we'll find out. We're going to watch Santa Claus now. See you in a second.
Ciao, guys.
They say Christmas is the most wonderful time of the year, but sometimes it can be a real drag, especially when a psycho killer is stalking a beautiful group of sexy scream queens. From the co-creator of Night of the Living Dead,
I'm Santa Claus.
Santa Claus. You're in for a Jingle Bell shock. Pick up the 10th anniversary DVD, loaded up with interviews, outtakes, behind-the-scenes footage, trailers, a partridge and a pear tree. Santa Claus.
Ho, 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 it's Santa Claus!
Okay, Santa Claus from 1996. I don't believe I mentioned it before. It's written and directed by John A. Russo.
I've had my two wisdom teeth extracted. I think I'd rather go through that again than sit through 80 minutes of that.
Yeah, it's one of the worst films I've ever seen, and not in a way that can make this podcast very interesting, because you could just cut and paste everything that's wrong with every bad movie. This is bad in every way a movie can be bad.
Yeah.
It's a home movie. It's also, I didn't realise it was soft porn.
Yeah. Super low budget, soft porn horror. There's nothing to recommend here. It's pure amateur hour.
Yeah.
And also a very cynical film as well, because like the director,
John Russo,
he's the guy behind Scream Queens, the actual magazine.
Oh, right.
So this is just a fucking ad.
Oh, I see. To be honest, when I was watching this, I thought this is blatantly a guy trying to get laid. But I'm curious whether the director thought, because nudity and sex and stuff like that, they're a staple of sort of a certain brand of horror films. Does he think?
Films,
yeah. Does he think this is just on the right side of tasteful enough to not? Because it's blatant, straight down the line, soft pornography.
Soft pornography.
But does the director think that this is maybe as sort of? It's just racy enough that it's not porn. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's interminable soft pornography.
There's way more soft porn than there is horror.
Yeah, and actually, towards the end, when it kept cross-cutting between a woman getting undressed and stripping, essentially, and what was supposed to be action with the guy uncovering the drugged children and stuff, and it kept coming back, I just couldn't believe how much mileage they got out of that footage. But then again, it's one of those movies where, all bad movies are like this. The sound's bad. There's an early scene, there's a creaking chair kind of drowns the audio out a little bit. You spend... there's a 30-second moment where you watch a woman go from a car to a front door, and then
everything's longed out.
Yeah, you watch a guy,
the guy walking up the stairs, trying to get into the Scream office. He gets ID'd. We follow him walking up every single stair.
Yeah.
I mean, it is banal. It is derivative. It's a steaming keg of shit.
It's awful. I mean, there's even a scene where you watch a woman have a bath after a scene in which you watch her listen to her answering machine messages that don't...
While stroking her cat.
The whole thing looks like it was set... The porn set is the same set as the living room set. They just move the furniture around. One of the porn
I think
sets...
there's two or three interiors, and they just reuse them.
Yeah, they've blatantly gone to someone who owns a warehouse space and said, can we use your warehouse for like a chase scene or whatever? I did like the fact that during one sort of porn scene, the set was a coffee table with some skulls on it, which will get any red-blooded man hot.
Feeling rigid.
Yeah. There's dribbles of ketchup for blood.
Yeah. And I mean, it's marketed very clearly from the cover art as a Santa Claus killer movie. That's a bit of a misfire, because he only actually dresses as Santa for the final 6 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. Which was probably done so that they could call it Santa Claus.
And that's your pun.
There's no... I'm just annoyed that we've had to sit through that. I hope the idea was to put us through pain, and that was what would be funny, because I can't... I'd like to sit here and make amusing wisecracks, but it's
I feel I've had part of me sapped away.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like having a shower and getting blind drunk to forget that I ever sat through it. It's just interminable. Yeah. The first kill we worked out is 31 minutes into the film, and that's, it's not like that's something to skip to if you're planning on watching this film, because it's just it's a struggle, and then there's a couple of beads of ketchup on someone's face. Yeah. The highlight, I think we both agree, is at the beginning when a homicide detective is discussing the case. Although he seems to, when did they converse? He's talking like he fills in a backstory about the kid's rough upbringing. I'm like, how does he know all this? He describes the double homicide as piss poor behaviour, which I think is the
understatement of
essentially, yeah.
And I'd say the other highlight of this is the shit lookalike states. There's an absolute perler. The Ostinator.
I've only seen the Ostinator once, but yeah, it looks pretty uncanny.
I'm telling you.
Actually, no, sorry, there was another shit lookalike. When he first gets the Santa suit on and he's strangling that girl, he looks like the British heavyweight boxer Tyson Fury.
And if I'm going to stretch this out and really scraping the barrel for shit lookalikes, the news reporter at the beginning who is interviewing the manager of the Scream Queen's studio, who looks like a dairy farmer, Bette Midler.
Okay. the dairy farmer guy who's supposed to be this elite pornographer. Yeah. Do you reckon it's just a farmer, a local farmer? They should just turn up, because you don't wear tweed and a flat cap unless you're a farmer. The other thing, actually, that there is another thing that's the soundtrack is quite something.
Yeah.
For a multitude of reasons. It begins as a pop song. No, it's a piece of music with a woman singing over the opening credits,
warbling,
which is
nauseating.
It's a 2 or 3 minute credit sequence where some woman, the lead is just walking down the street and window shopping, and the lyrics were kind of they'll get something for me, and hopefully they'll get something for you, and I'll get something for my kids too. And then later on she goes, I'll be spending Christmas by myself, and I was like, what's going on? What's going on? But I mean, the music is hilariously bad. I mean, that's something that I suppose, if you really are easily pleased, that it sounds like there are numerous scenes where it sounds like the best bit, is when she makes a phone call and it sounds like someone going apeshit on a xylophone for no reason, and then it turns out that the phone call had no consequence.
No.
Sorry,
they do that a few times for sort of dramatic heft.
Yeah.
It's on the phone.
And nothing.
Terrible. Abominable.
I mean, it is abominable. I think I've just said 3 times. Oh no, the best bit. The actual best bit. No. The cop is the best bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether this was a mistake, whether it was deliberate. I don't know whether this is an accident. I don't know whether this is an observation that I'm just made that means nothing. When he goes and buys his costume, he buys the Santa costume from an African-American shop owner, and the soundtrack has what appears to be digital steel drums, as if there was something exotic about this guy. I mean, it sounds like a Bermuda beach scene, and I don't know whether those two things are related, but that's very, very amusing, because it's so utterly, utterly wrong. I mean, you referred to the lead guy as kind of looking a bit like Macaulay Culkin. I suppose that's the sort of shit lookalike. Yeah. I mean, if the film has a centrepiece, there's a 10-minute long, it's almost 10 minutes long, of them just conversing on a couch, which is done almost in one take. And it reminded me of the scene from Steve McQueen's Hunger, where Bobby sounds... I mean, this is a fucking... I mean...
Steaming lump of coal.
It's a home movie with a load of nudity in it.
Yeah, there's nothing to see here.
I feel sick.
Really?
I just feel a little bit sick.
Yeah. Jack Frost is one.
Yeah,
hands down already.
There is no way.
No chance.
No way.
No chance.
That Jack Frost is worse. There's no
I
way.
would state everything. I would state losing limbs. This will be
realistically. I mean, I don't know who we're betting with, because we're both on the same page. But if anyone else, if a naysayer was here, I'd say take my TV, take everything, take my computer.
Yeah.
There's no way. This is. As I said earlier, this film's now on our YouTube channel for however long it's there. I can't imagine anybody would ever go, that's copyright material, because it's a home movie with porn. But if you want to go and check it out, go ahead.
There's a fairly high breast count if you're into that sort of thing. I think it's at least half a dozen racks.
Yeah.
If that's your ting. But,
Yeah.
I mean, Christ, there's better things to watch.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, I mean...
This is...
There's nothing. There's nothing. It fails.
Everything
on
about
every
it.
conceivable level as a piece of creative.
It's not even bad enough for. I mean, it's just.
No.
I'd like to be able to say something to truly convey how bad it is, but it's just deflating watching a film like that. I just feel fucking ugh.
Yeah.
Why were we put through that? Whoever you are on Twitter, I hope you got what you wanted. I feel sick. Okay, right. Should we continue talking about this?
No. Let's really.
Okay. There is actually a film from the 2000s called Santa Claus, Claws, and the cover is just a load of kittens. Go and watch that instead. Also, funny enough, there's a Jack Frost movie from 1998 which has Michael Keaton. This is not the one we're talking about. We're talking about the one from 1997. I am going to use Google to find the synopsis. Okay, so Jack Frost from 1997, not 1998, directed by Michael Cooney. As notorious serial killer Jack Frost is being driven to his execution, the truck carrying the murderer encounters a bizarre accident that transforms him into a mutant snowman. Sheriff Sam Tyler, who caught the psychopath originally, has remained concerned about his return, and it seems that his fears were well-founded. Before long, bodies pile up, all killed in gruesome wintry ways. Can the sheriff stop Frost's icy reign of terror? Jack Frost.
Starring David Jason.
One cold night, science and evil collide. Oh, yeah. Now, a serial killer is on the loose.
We hadn't even tested the acid on an amoeba, let alone a human cell. This is a disaster.
Look, I just saw something that doesn't belong in this world, and it's out there killing my friends. Now tell me what it is. Jack Frost. I think Jack's about to make an entrance. And he's giving cold-blooded a whole new meaning.
Hey, Jack! What? You left the 7-10 split.
Hell has just frozen over. Blow me. Jack Frost.
Look, Ma! I'm a Picasso!
Okay, so we have just watched Jack Frost. Apologies if we sound deflated, but it's easy to feel that way. I hadn't seen this before. You hadn't either.
I have not seen Jack Frost. I remember vividly the kind of embossed VHS cover. That I'm pretty sure, actually thinking about it, is it's one of those covers where if you turned it, he was a snowman,
hologram,
and then
that's
it
right.
was a hologram with him being the evil.
That
Jack
rings a bell.
Frost.
Yes, I'm sure that's what that was.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, this is almost as cheap and almost as bad as the first one, but at the same time, nowhere near as bad. The first thing that I noticed was that it's weird how everything is shot in close-up.
Yeah, too close. Everything is too... Yeah, they need to draw the camera back.
Yeah, there's no sense of place because you're just shooting close-up. And I think that's
It's a bit claustrophobic.
Yeah, but that's because they couldn't get any of the scenery in because it wasn't filmed during winter. It seems like they filmed it in the middle of the summer. Yeah. So they've got a limited amount of snow and it would look fucking ridiculous with no snow in the background. Actually, I think there are a couple of shots where it's like, where's the rest of the snow?
Well, the snow looks fucking butters as well.
Yeah.
I mean, all the snow is so fake, the snow.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
It's like at least film it in a snowy location. At least make the snow legit.
It's also, I think it's entirely filmed indoors, more or less. Like even
I'd say 80% of the shot.
Some of the exteriors, even they're so overly lit.
It's TV.
It's an airless soundstagey quality.
Yeah.
So, but
it's that overlit thing which we've come across in the podcast. It's very much TV.
Okay, I mean, what did you? I mean, this.
Oh, I mean, it's a shit film. It's.
I can understand why people like this, though.
Well, yeah, because the conceit of having a wise talking, a wise cracking New York serial killing in a snowman's body is funny because you would expect that voice to come out of that character, which is kind of similar to Child's Play.
Yeah,
but Child's Play does it the best.
Yeah, no doubt. There's one. I mean, if the film was, there's one scene where a man is murdered by Jack Frost because he steals a car and reverses over him, and then Jack Frost.
Yeah, but that's fun. I mean, that's a highlight. We both laughed. I mean,
that is probably a minute-long scene.
But if he just drove around the whole time doing running cracks
over, yeah. Exactly.
I mean, I just wanted him to be put in situations which would be funny.
Yeah,
like there is a scene where Shannon Elizabeth and the guy who's trying to court her are in the house. And it alludes to the fact that Jack Frost could potentially be in this quite small freezer compartment.
Yeah, and I
thought that's going to be great. He's going, I'm in the fucking freezer. But it doesn't. No, it doesn't use it.
It actually, there's so many missed opportunities in this film. It's so simple to make this entertaining. And you could even do it cheaper. Yeah. Just Jack Frost making wisecrack. I mean, the fact that...
And wearing different clobber. I mean, that'd have been funny if you just put different sort of garb on. Anything. Or...
I mean, there's one area of the film that I think is almost classic stuff, and that's the way a family grieves over the death of their young boy.
Ambivalent.
The dad gets angry. The mum doesn't even seem to notice. Shannon Elizabeth doesn't really care either. The way they apparently grieve is actually quite. It's like Troll 2. It's so warped that you can't even conceive of how anybody could think that was normal.
The dad's reaction is pretty special. It's like he's really pissed that somebody's kind of like scraped his car or something. Right. He's just really pissy. The fact that his son's been decapitated.
Yeah, see that's actually very, very funny. I mean, there was, I'd say, there was a sudden shift almost halfway through. There was that very, very amusing where the FBI agent just knocks the guy out with a punch.
And very naked gun.
Yeah. Then there's the Jack Frost running someone over, and then there's Shannon Elizabeth.
Well, Shannon Elizabeth death box, but the her death in the bathtub is a highlight.
Yeah, that's another highlight. Actually, I mean, to be honest, the fact that there's highlights in it is just that's saving. I mean, I'm so happy there was something good in this film. There's also my favourite moment. Pretty much was the way the cop acted when he got hit by a jet of water when he was a makeshift plumber fixing the bathtub. I mean, that was just amusing. I think on the whole, the acting. I mean, to say that the acting's better in this than it was in Santa Claus is saying absolutely fucking nothing. But there was a little bit of conviction here.
This is more amateur dramatics, whereas the other one was just soft porn.
Yeah, okay, that's
so soft porn acting versus amateur dramatics. At least they're kind of trying to take it a bit serious. I mean, it's kind of weird. It's kind of uneven because some characters obviously goof in it, and other characters are, very, very serious.
Yeah.
I wish it was just pure goofs, but yeah, it needed. It's a real pity they did not play around with the Jack Frost character more.
Yeah.
There's quite a good kill towards the beginning, which was fairly good when the woman is kind of wrapped up in the Christmas tree lights and the baubles are smashed on her face.
And then it keeps that
and
was
it's funny. The music's quite good.
The way they rework classic Christmas tunes to be horrifying. But what's that song that when they're getting undressed and it's like a pornified version of a Christmas song. Which Christmas song is it again?
No,
it's like Partridge in a Pear Tree, whatever it's like. In a Partridge in a Pear Tree. They do that to me. I mean,
wow.
That's very, very funny.
We should put it on the end of the episode.
If I can dig it up, I will, yeah, because that's actually definitely a couple of laughs there. But I mean, on the whole, it's just protracted, it's long-winded, and most of what you want to see happens off camera, particularly in the first half. I was just like, show us something.
Yeah, that was frustrating. I got to the point where I was losing faith in the fact that they weren't going to use the Jack Frost animatronic, mouth to move and everything. I was like, oh no, everything's going to be off camera. This is fucking bait. Piss poor.
I mean, it does improve drastically in the second half, but I mean, you're going up from a very low ebb. There is this is a huge congregation of shit lookalikes. The sheriff's wife looks like Elizabeth Perkins. His secretary looks like a cross between Ruby Wax and Adrienne Barbeau. When the angry town mob is in the sheriff's office at the beginning, John Oliver's there, and one of the cops looks like Jack D.
Fat D.
British comedian Jack D's chubbier brother.
Fat D.
Fat D. The filmmakers are similarly, in a similar way to the last one, Santa Claus, which I never want to have to think about after today, although I'm going to have to make a video, so my nightmare is only just beginning. Incidentally, as I said before, you can watch it on a YouTube channel, I think. The filmmakers are similarly clueless about how to spin a yarn. At the beginning, especially, like, why do people think that the best way to spend time in the film is just filling it with inane conversations that have no bearing on anything? When it started, they kept having those...
They really longed out that introduction.
Just a small talk with the Snowman Festival.
Little Clint Howard cameo. I mean, that should have been 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was at least 7 minutes, 8 minutes, possibly.
Yeah, I mean...
I get the fact that it's a chemical lorry. They kept having to pan away from the external shot saying, this is a chemical lorry, this is a police van, this is a chemical... It's like, come on.
I mean, at least we aren't forced to watch people walk from A to B over 30 seconds. But there was a point, before it had that shift halfway through, I was just saying, I said to you, the only thing, I mean, what would liven this up is some tits, which could have potentially, because the first half is pretty hard going, but if someone came up to me and said, oh, I love Jack Frost, I could understand it. I don't condone it. I don't share that opinion.
No, but I think if you're a 15-year-old, I don't know. I think you'd be more forgiving of it if you were stoned and in your early teens.
I think it's veering into that weird territory where bad movies become good. I think it's just teetering on the brink. It's nowhere near. I mean, there's also some weird opportunities. I said to you early, why would you call a character Agent Manners if there isn't
the gag?
Yeah, there's got to be a joke. Yeah. There isn't. I think she calls him Bad Manners at one point. That's not sufficient. I briefly looked at the IMDb. We've talked about spurious IMDb trivia many times before. Apparently this was originally going to be a $30 million Rennie Harlin film. I can't believe that was ever truly a thing that was going to happen. I bet the director added that information. The writer. This was originally going to be a big budget film. There was no chance of that happening.
Spawned a sequel.
Yeah, would you watch that?
No.
It's a shame there's not a Santa Claus 2, and then we could meet up next year and do Santa Claus 2. But...
It's kind of like, if you're a fan of like the Leprechaun movies and stuff like that,
yes,
this could be your bag.
It is kind of similarly less well made than the first one. Yeah. So I assume perhaps the sequels. It's I can totally understand why people would like this. It is warped in that way, but not quite enough. Especially when the first 45 minutes, I was honestly on the verge of nodding off. Yeah.
It takes a while to get going.
It should have just been Jack Frost from the beginning.
Exactly. Yeah.
Even if it's just some shit snowman on wheels just rolling around trying to terrorise people. Yeah. I mean, I liked it more than I did at the beginning. I think
it's quite funny if he made himself into a really, really small snowman.
That's what I thought when they were...
Like a 12-inch snowman.
Yeah, really. They were, I mean, it's just opportunities galore that weren't taken.
Yeah, and they just milked a lot of really obvious Christmas gags.
Yeah, terrible.
Like, don't eat yellow snow.
Yeah, I mean, there's no irrelevance.
What's the difference between snowmen and snow women? Snowballs. Yeah. I mean, it's like kindergarten.
Yeah, it's piss poor. Piss poor.
I can't recommend it. No, fuck me. This is worlds and leaps and bounds better than Santa Claus.
If we had have watched this first, I don't know what our reaction. I don't know what my reaction would have been. I assume it would have been similar. But then again, my barrier for entertainment was so lowered, was so beaten down to the fucking beneath ground level up by that fucking Santa Claus film. Maybe I'm being kinder, but I don't think so. I think this is actually like, it's almost a good shit film, but nowhere near. No. And I can't give it any kind of dues because 45 minutes of fucking boredom.
Yeah. And this is 2 stars.
I'll give it an extra star. I'll give it not extra from 2. Yeah. It's a 1-star movie it's a 2-star film. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, there's no fucking question about which is winning because Santa Claus. I implore you to not watch it.
No, I mean it's the worst film I have seen since we started doing this podcast.
Yeah, I think
nothing's close.
Whenever anybody asks me what my worst film of all time is, I've decided I'm going to say Mystery Men, but. This is
because no one's heard of Santa Claus.
This is one of the worst films I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And yeah, Jack Frost isn't by a long shot, although it's bad in a lot of the same ways. You kind of forgive it for the shit it pulls in the second half, which
Yeah,
is
because
awful.
it gathers momentum. There's more action.
Yeah, I mean,
It raised us a few smiles and a few chuckles when we watched it. The second half.
my advice is don't watch either of these.
No, fuck, really don't.
Certainly don't order
Watch
a DVD.
Silent Night, Deadly Night, or
Yes.
Gremlins,
So-
the multitude of Christmas horror-themed movies that piss
On both
all
of
over
these.
these.
Yeah. But I'm glad that's over. I hope the person who suggested we do this episode on Twitter somehow comes across it, because be a shame if it, because we would have done this for nothing. But anyway, thanks very much for listening. We will be back in 2 weeks' time with, I believe, Kroll versus Willow.
If you're listening to this over the Yule, then I hope you enjoyed this while supping on a Baileys or an eggnog or whatever your festive tipple is, and I hope you've attacked that cheese board, and we will see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, see you in 2 weeks.
Sure. Bless.
Cult Film Face Off.
Turn on the lights.
I'll get all scared in the dark. And then I'll need a really big boy to look after me.
Big boy. You're getting there.